The process has started to remove the Mountain Valley Pipeline tree sitters from their platforms, and authorities have said this will likely take several days. WDBJ7 senior reporter Joe DeShield joins us now from Montgomery County. Good afternoon, Joe. Where are you exactly and where do things stand?
Well, as you said, Kimberly, we are in Montgomery County in an area along US 460 that a lot of people know as the Elliston Straightaway. Behind me, you should be able to see the point where you would turn off of US 460 onto Cove Hollow Road. Now you follow Cove Hollow Road on around. That's where you get on Yellowfinch Lane. That's where the tree sitters are located. Now, I got out here about 7:15 this morning. The road was already blocked off. Law enforcement, members of the MVP crew had already headed in to the site of the tree sit. We have seen, people coming and going. We've been told this will be a multi-day operation. We've seen porta-johns arriving. We've seen lights, and again, law enforcement coming and going. But they are not allowing access from the media. They're not allowing the media to get into that site, and so we don't know exactly what has been going on there in the last few hours. Now, this is day 931 since the tree sit began. It's 128 days since the judge ordered the injunction and ordered the tree sitters to come down. When we visited about 2 weeks ago, there were 2 tree sitters occupying those wooden platforms very high off the ground, probably 75 feet or higher, and they were vowing to stay as long as they could, regardless of the court order threatening them with arrest. So, Kimberly, now there are protesters, opponents of the Mountain Valley Pipeline. They've gathered just a short distance from where we are right now. We spoke with some of them earlier today. They're unhappy that they've been held as far away from the site of the tree sit as well as legal observers. Now, these are folks from the National Lawyers Guild who've been out at the site of the tree sit over the last several weeks, several months actually, just there to observe, to see what would happen if and when law enforcement came in. They were apparently not there this morning, and now they're being held out and kept away. So we will be following everything that's developing out here along US 460 and further in at the Yellowfinch Lane tree sit, and we'll bring you more later today and on WDBJ7.com.
Both tree sitters who were blocking the path of the Mountain Valley Pipeline have been removed from the protest site near Elliston. Early this afternoon, the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office and the Virginia State Police arrested the second tree sitter, ending the aerial blockade that began 2.5 years ago. WDBJ7's Joe DeShield live tonight in Elliston. Joe, how did this play out today?
Well, Gene, once again, we had to depend on the Sheriff's Department, the Sheriff's Office, for information on what was happening on Yellowfinch Lane. We did not have access to the site again today, but it seems to have gone according to yesterday's script when the first tree sitter was removed. As the sun rose Tuesday morning, the tree sitter known as Acre was still in a platform high above Yellowfinch Lane. But photos provided by the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office show how 2 members of a Virginia State Police extraction team used a metal platform suspended from a crane to reach and remove the tree sitter. While the operation was underway, pipeline opponents protested along US 460, directly across the highway from the roadblock that prevented them from accessing the site.
I think we just felt it was important to show solidarity with the people that have been trying to defend us. And so I just wanted to come show that we support them and we're thankful for the sacrifice that they have made.
I mean, if the goal is to stop the Mountain Valley Pipeline, then delaying it this long, I think has definitely been a huge step towards that goal.
The Sheriff's Office has identified the second tree sitter as 24-year-old Alexander Samuel Parker Lowe of Worcester, Massachusetts. Charges include obstruction of justice and interfering with the property rights of another. The tree sitter removed on Tuesday, 23-year-old Claire Marion Fiocco of Vermont, also remains in custody, but now has a May court date and a bond hearing on Thursday. Officers with the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office and Virginia State Police are still blocking the entrance to Cove Hollow Road, but the Sheriff's Office says that once law enforcement and work crews have cleared the scene, Gene, that road will reopen, hopefully by the end of the day.
All right, a lot of folks wondering what was transpiring there. Joe, thank you for that update. Today in Montgomery County, 2 tree sitters protesting the Mountain Valley Pipeline learned they will have to spend a day in jail for each day they spent in the trees. A judge also awarded MVP thousands of dollars in restitution. WDBJ7's Janae Reese was in court and has more.
Claire Fiocco and Alexander Lowe both appeared in General District and Circuit Court together.
Sleeping Dragon is then covered in tar.
In one hearing, both tree sitters were found guilty of their charges, but will also have to answer to the damages associated with their 2-day extraction in March. Outside of the courthouse, there was a rally in support of the tree sitters.
The Mountain Valley Pipeline is crossing my water source, and so that's why I come to help support my friends who lived in trees for 932 days.
Friends of Lowe and Fiocco were not happy to learn the judge will have them both spend a day in jail for each day they spent in the trees.
It's a travesty of justice. It's arbitrary and capricious. They're, doubling the amount of days that they spend in the tree?
The circuit court judge also awarded more than $140,000 in restitution to MVP for damages associated with the extraction.
I think they knew going into it that their actions could be criminalized.
The community is in support of what they're doing, and now they're in cages.
A portion of the money will be reimbursed to Montgomery County for its role in helping to remove the protesters. In Montgomery County, Janae Reese, WDBJ7.
A protester set up a blockade this morning to keep Mountain Valley Pipeline vehicles and personnel from accessing the construction site. But there has been an update in the past half hour. WDBJ7's Janae Reese joins us now. Good afternoon, Janae. What can you tell us about the person who was arrested?
Well, Kimberly, we don't know much about the person who was arrested, but we were here the moment he was taken into custody. Right now, law enforcement is clearing the scene. And actually, I'm going to step off to the side of the camera so you guys can get a better look of them towing the vehicle that he was inside. Now, this vehicle is a blue SUV, and you may not be able to see it right now, but it has flames on the front of it. Law enforcement are towing it and clearing it from the scene. The protester has been on the site and was inside of the vehicle since about 5 o'clock this morning, and he was removed just about a half an hour ago. We couldn't exactly see the entire extraction process because we were blocked by police officers. The blockade is in Pembroke, directly adjacent to the Mountain Valley Pipeline easement, preventing Mountain Valley Pipeline vehicles and personnel from accessing the pipeline construction site here. Now, there is also a public rally at this site that is directly adjacent from the public road access, and you can see some of the protesters here right now watching as this truck is being towed and taken away from the scene. If you want to take a quick look at this, you can read the words on the vehicle. It says, "Who killed the world?" They said that it's from a lyric or a person that the protesters, they've been quoting that all day. So I'm just going to leave it on here so you guys can take a quick look. We are in Pembroke, which is in Giles County. They're actively getting the vehicle out right now. Now, the person who was inside of the vehicle has been taken into police custody. We don't have much information about where he is, but we're hoping to receive a little bit more information about this soon. Now, as we continue to learn more about what went on here today, we'll keep you updated online and on the web.
Of course,
Kimberly?
we'll find out more about what that person is actually going to be charged with here. All right, Janae, thank you so much.
Our top story tonight, the State Water Control Board has approved a key permit for the Mountain Valley Pipeline.
It was a close vote, but the board granted permission for the pipeline to cross more than 300 streams and wetlands in Virginia. WDBJ7's Joe DeShiel is live tonight in Henrico County, where the meeting wrapped up late this afternoon. Joe, this seems like a significant development.
Well, Gene and Robin, it's certainly not the last hurdle that the Mountain Valley Pipeline must clear, but it was a key milestone in the process and one of the final approvals the company will need to complete the 300-mile natural gas pipeline.
No MVP! No!
Pipeline opponents gathered outside the convention center where the State Water Control Board was meeting. Inside, they sat quietly holding signs as the director of the Water Permitting Division reviewed the history of the project.
There has been a lot of litigation, a lot of court cases, a lot of twists and turns in this process.
The permit covers more than 300 stream and wetland crossings along the 107-mile route in Virginia. 2 board members raised concerns about the environmental impact. But DEQ staff said the permit meets state and federal requirements, will not significantly impair state waters or wildlife, and will not result in a net loss of wetlands.
Staff recommends that the board approve VWP permit 21-0416 with conditions as contained in your board book.
2 members were absent. The vote was 3-2 in favor. Pipeline opponents shared their displeasure as they left the room.
We shall not be moved. Shame on you.
I feel like everything is kind of skewed in favor of approving the project. I feel like it's a sham trial where only one side is allowed to present evidence.
In a written statement, a spokesperson for the Mountain Valley Pipeline said the company is pleased with the Water Control Board's decision. Natalie Cox said the facts show that remaining water body crossings can be completed successfully and without adverse impacts to sensitive resources. Robin, the project still needs additional approvals, including review by the state of West Virginia and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers.
So the process continues, and Joe DeShiel has our update tonight. Thank you.
And we have some breaking news now from the Mountain Valley Pipeline. Dozens of protesters are back at that pipeline and have been there since early this morning, and some have locked themselves to construction equipment. WGBJ 7's Janae Reese is live on the scene in Elliston. Janae, what are you seeing out there?
Well, Danielle, throughout the morning, we have seen nearly 100 protesters all along Route 460. Now, those protesters started off on the Mountain Valley Pipeline construction site and made their way across the street to the middle of the interstate. You can actually see them off into the distance. Now, that size of the protesters has dwindled down, and we continue to still see them, and their spirits are lifted. Now, we know at least 10 people have locked themselves to construction equipment. If you take a quick look at this Air 7 footage, you can see other blockades, including a wooden candy darter, which is an endangered species, and a wooden yellowfinch, both of which are native species threatened by what they say the Mountain Valley Pipeline. Banners on the various protest signs say "Stop Mountain Valley Pipeline" and "Defend the Sacred." We've also learned from the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office dispatch there were about 50 protesters trespassing this morning when they arrived, and some of which were also trying to attach themselves to equipment. The Virginia State Police requested assistance from their deputies due to the crowd size, and Shawsville Rescue Department has also been placed on standby for a precautionary purpose.
Some have been protecting, and we're in a critical moment in human history where we have this challenge to transform, either in a negative way or a positive way. We could change the situation and make a world much better. And
now, if you take a quick look, you can actually see 2 of those protesters right now attached to the equipment. We have seen law enforcement officers go back and forth to those individuals that are attached. We see about 3 of them right there. Now, as we continue to follow this story, we will continue to update you guys online and on the web. But we also learned from the protesters that we spoke to earlier that this is actually the largest turnout that they have ever had in terms of protests and those that have attached themselves to construction sites or blocking the Mountain Valley Pipeline site. Daniel?
Well, I know folks were out there last week with smaller crowds, so it seems like there was a bigger crowd out there today, but it looks like things have mostly stayed peaceful, so that's good to see. Thanks so much, Janae.